Hey, everybody, and welcome to another sports podcast by Cleats, Skates, and Hoops, where we talk everything sports. The intro song was Otis by Kanye and Jay-Z. Lately, our podcasts have been sporadic because of the sports schedule. But starting next week, we'll be doing podcasts on every Monday and Friday. In today's podcast, we're going to be doing predictions of the first round of the NHL playoffs. We'll be giving you who we think is going to win each series and potential X factors for each series. And without further ado, let's get started. We'll start with Boston versus Carolina. I think a lot of people are trending in the Carolina direction right now with sweeping Rangers in the first round. Boston obviously did not do well in the round robin. Boston cannot be underestimated. Like, all their statistics are top 10. Goals for, top 9th. Goals against, first. Power play, second. PK, third. We know all their players. They're really good players. Dougie Hamilton's coming back. I think it's going to be a huge factor for Carolina.
Big time.
And right now they're playing in a way where I just cannot not pick them. I doubted them last year. I doubted them in the first round. I'm not going to doubt them again. Aho's too good. Teravainen's a beast. They have good depth and good leadership. So that being said, I got Carolina in 7.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I got Boston here in about six games here.
Nice.
Yeah, I really don't like the round robin. I think right now this is where real hockey is going to start for Boston. The round robin, I think, was just a warm-up for Boston. Boston was 8 points ahead of second-place team before the break. They went 0-3 in the round robin. That's more than 3 games worth of points, right? Mm-hmm. These guys knew where they were. I think they're going to start playing real hockey. They're going to get back into their regular play style within 1 or 2 games maybe, and then they're going to start to dominate.
Right.
Carolina swept the Rangers. It was amazing. Good for them. But in my mind, was Carolina amazingly good, or were the Rangers just very bad?
The Canes were dominant.
Maybe the Rangers were just very bad here. You know, that's what made the Canes look really that good. This is going to be the first time the Bruins and Hurricanes are going to play since the rematch of the 2019 conference final, which Boston won.
Last year.
Boston went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Game 7 against St. Louis. You guys can't count them out. Yeah, the Canes have scoring power. We've seen it against the Rangers. But look at the Bruins forwards. Bergeron, Brad Marchand, Halifax native. Not to mention Pastrnak. You can't count out Pastrnak.
No, you can't.
One of the best forwards in the NHL. He's tied Ovechkin for the most goals in the league this season with 48. He's finishing first in the league with the most power play goals. Now, the Oilers are out. Boston has the best power play in the league right now.
I like that. You made very good points, but folks, I just realized now, once I made this pick, I'm going back with what I said. I had my Stanley Cup champion be the Bruins, and I'm going to pick against the Bruins this time. We already know my sleeper pick, the Jets, lost, so I lost all hope on this playoffs, and I'm just going to go back on my word, I guess you could say. I got Canes in 6 here, okay? I hope the Storm Surge is allowing somebody on the bandwagon like myself, because I'm fully on board. The season series is 1-0 for Boston, a 2-0 win, which was back in October, so the teams are new by now. Stats I want to go through quick. I mean, we've already been through Carolina's stats, but they're 8th in power play percentage, so that's a pretty good stat. Bruins goals allowed is 2.39, which is first. So Rask has to be on top of his game, but he might not even be playing with what's going on with him. But they are 26th in penalty minutes with 9.7. I'll round that to 10. So they're a very undisciplined team, and if Carolina could score like they did against New York, this could be a pretty good series for them. And they are definitely sour about getting swept last year by Boston. Carolina has gotten faster. Hamilton hopefully is coming back. Slavin has arrived. Aho has arrived. And I got Canes in 6. My X factor for this series, there's a trend for me when I pick players I look out for, and it's the depth guys. Okay, I'm going for Jordan Martinook. Many people might not know who he is. I mean, I didn't know really who he was till I watched the series. He had 1 goal in 3 games. He's a 3rd to 4th line winger. He's relentless on the forecheck, and he's a proven leader. He's got the A on his jersey now. If you watch the pregame handshakes, he's always with the guys, chumming around, body checking them, having a good time. And I think the leadership and his style of play will definitely be key for Carolina to beat Boston here.
I said this before, defense wins championships, and your last defender on your team is your netminder. If the Hurricanes want to win, they have to shut down one of the best lines in the league, and that comes down to Peter Mrazek. He only let in 3 goals on 50 shots by a dominant Rangers in the regular season, games 1 and 2. Reimer only let one past him while facing 38 shots, and he clinched the series in Game 3.
Former Leaf.
Year after year, we've seen hot goalies can stop a club from going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's all up to the goalie. If the goalie plays well, they can take down a first seed. And we've seen that with Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. In my opinion, that is their one weak spot, their goalie. So if Mrazek can play well, like you said, I can't see Boston winning this.
Mm-hmm.
My X factor is Jake DeBrusk. If you look at Boston's run to the Cup last year, yeah, their top guys played well, but it was their depth guys that brought them there, basically.
Right.
Throughout the entire playoffs, all of them stepped up, including DeBrusk. DeBrusk is on the second line now. They're going to need depth scoring again to get these wins. I think he can do it.
I like it.
All right, up next we have the Isles versus the Caps.
Trotz is coming back to Washington. I love this.
I like it, dude. I like it.
We saw the Capitals. They're a third seed. They struggled in the round robin. A lot of teams did. To me, I'm going to say it again, round robin, it was just practice games. These guys already clinched. They had nothing to lose. They're just playing hockey, trying to get back in the groove. They beat Boston, but they lost to Philly and Tampa. They only scored 5 goals in 3 games, so scoring was an issue for some teams, and it was for one of them. In fact, defenseman Radko Gudas led them in points.
Yikes.
Radko Gudas.
That's not going to win you games.
Yeah. Ovechkin didn't score any points, but you should never count out Alexander Ovechkin.
No.
He's going to score.
The grade 8.
Also, John Carlson, Norris Trophy finalist. He didn't play in the round robin. He got an injury. We don't know his status, but he's definitely going to be a factor for the Capitals if he comes back. Mm-hmm. Also, Islanders forward Anthony Beauvillier. This guy was insane this series. Yeah, he was on a line with Nelson and Josh Bailey. He scored 5 points, 3 goals, 2 assists in 4 games against the Panthers. 2 of his goals were actually game winners.
Yeah.
He gave this team a boost, especially on the power play with the special teams. He got 1 power play goal. For goalies, Varlamov was solid against the Panthers. It was his first appearance in the postseason since 2014. He finished the series with a 1.77 goals against and a .932 save percentage.
Wow. I'm
taking Islanders here in 6 games.
I like it.
It's a good prediction.
Yeah.
I like the Isles as well. Like you said, Beauvillier, I knew he was a good goal scorer coming into the league. He has a good shot. He proved he can be a bit more than that in last series. And overall, the Islanders just had an amazing series. Barry Trotz had them playing like they did at the beginning of the year versus down the stretch. I think it's huge. Obviously, it's an interesting matchup between his old team and his current team right now. Right now, John Carlson is hopeful for Game 1. So that's going to be a big thing, especially for Game 1.
Absolutely.
As you guys will see in my next few picks, or your picks I've already done, I like the teams that are playing the qualifying round. They have that advantage. They play competitive hockey. I think they have an advantage for at least 1 game, maybe even 2 games at the beginning of the series. I think they're going to have a higher intensity. I think the Isles are going to come out firing. Capitals have not looked good. A lot of guys that should be scoring in round robin didn't. Mm-hmm. And that being said, I'm going Isles in 6.
I like the pick. And just to piggyback my 2 co-hosts, I'm going to copy them as well, but I got Isles in 7. The season series was 2 wins, 2 losses apiece. They played each other quite a bit. The stats that I want to point out, the Caps are second in goals. As we all know, you have OV. He's going to score majority of your goals. Islanders goals allowed at 9th in the NHL at 2.79. So it's just going to come down to the former Capital, Varlamov. Can he stop the Capitals' offense? And Moose touched on this. Barry Trotz is facing his former team. So he knows the ins and outs of that team. Like, mind you, maybe 1 or 2 players are there or not there, but he knows the system that they run. He knows the weakness of the Capitals more than anybody else in the series. He's going to exploit that the entire time.
The new head coach was his assistant.
Exactly.
So I don't think the game plan is going to change much between how they play now and how they played then.
Absolutely not. The assistant coach, now coach of the Capitals, probably asked Barry Trotz for advice on how to run the team. Yep. So he knows how this team runs, and he's just going to be all over them the whole time. And I hope the suffocating system will work. It's why I have Isles in 7. My X factor is defenseman Ryan Pulock. I mentioned him 3 episodes ago. He's a top pairing with what's his name there? Adam Pelech. He had 4 points in 4 games. He's a guy that I didn't notice until I watched the series, which I'm sure more people can agree with me on that. He plays in the top pairing, as I said, and they have a tough task of shutting down the Capitals' top guys. But if they can do that with Florida, I mean, why not do it with Washington? And Pulock could be a huge factor here for them to win.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you here, Dougie. Man, Pulock is my X factor too. 25-year-old defenseman. He had 1 goal, 3 assists. He led the team with 10 block shots. He was actually regularly tasked to hard defend Barkov and Jonathan Huberdeau, and I expect him to do the same against the Washington team. I think he's going to do well. He also had a really incredible save in Game 4. If you guys haven't seen that, go watch that. Almost saved the game for them. It was amazing.
I'm going to the other team for this one. I'm going Jacob Vrana. Didn't have a big round robin. Had a great year, though. Fast, skilled player. I think they're going to need him to step up if they want to win this series. I think he's going to have to produce scoring. I'm not sure if some of these guys on the Capitals can do it. They're starting to get older. I don't know if they're past their prime just yet, but they're going to need some help from the young guys. So I got Jacob Vrana.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, up next, Tampa Bay Lightning versus Columbus Blue Jackets.
All right, folks. I like the underdogs here. I'm going Jackets in 6. One of the main reasons is, as you guys know, our special guest Bob McGilly was here. So, Bobby, this one's for you, buddy. So season series was 1-0 for Tampa Bay off an overtime win. So it's kind of a toss-up there, 3-on-3. Tampa is 29th in the NHL, tied with 10.3 penalty minutes, a very undisciplined team. But the Jackets went 0 for 12 against Toronto in the series. So if Tampa takes penalties, Columbus, you need to score. Okay, you barely escaped by against Toronto. You need to score against Tampa Bay with or without Stamkos and Hedman. And Tampa's first in the league in goals. So if Korpisalo can have 2 shutouts in 3 games, I mean, Columbus should have some fun and win games. And they beat Tampa last year, so there's a bit of a rivalry going on. And yeah, I have Jackets in 6.
I agree with you. I got Jackets in 7.
Nice.
Hedman, game time decision. Obviously, if you listen to our previous podcast with Bob, he said last season when Hedman got injured, it changed the entire series. Mm-hmm. He thinks Hedman's a bigger issue than Stamkos being out, but both of them being out is huge.
Absolutely.
Like you said, Doug, power play was struggling.
Yeah.
They have to figure that out, and Bjorkstrand needs to figure out his life out because that guy needs to start scoring for them.
Yeah, for real, dude.
They're not playing Freddie Anderson anymore. They're not playing the Toronto defense anymore. They're playing a much better, skilled veteran team.
Yeah.
He needs to stand up. I also think that Seth Jones and Werenski, I know they're dominant players, played great series, but I think they have to take a bigger step up offensively if they want to win this series.
No.
Big time.
I just want to start this by saying I was right. Last season, I picked Colorado to win this. Columbus, to win this in 5 games, and they did. They won it in 5 games against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They did exactly what they did to Tampa last round and last year. They frustrated the offense. They prevented chances to the middle of the ice. They had some solid goaltending, I will say. My X factor from last time, Korpisalo, guy had 2 shutouts, Game 1 and Game 5. Like, let's go. Good job.
Dynamite. Yeah, man.
Now Tortorella's team find themselves in a familiar place. Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, as Gio mentioned, they stole the show in the qualifying, but they can step up a little bit more, maybe get some more points here and there. Forwards like Dubois, he was hugely influential. Atkinson was also influential. Rookies like Texier and Liam Foudy also showed up as well. Liam Foudy had an insane goal.
Yes.
In Game 5.
Insane.
Just close your legs, Franderson. Close your legs.
Seriously.
Dougie and Gio also touched on this, but guys, if you missed the last podcast, make sure to give that one a listen. We had a very special guest, Bob McElligott. We talked all about the Blue Jackets. It was a really fun interview. Give it a listen. It's on Spotify right now. Tampa led the league with 243 goals in the regular season, 3.47 goals per game, yet they only managed to score 7 times in the round robin. Like I've said this before, teams are struggling in the round robin. The high-scoring teams are not scoring. This is probably going to change, go to a game or 2. But I think the most concerning aspect is what Gio said, Hedman's gone. And I think this is going to affect them hugely. And if he's gone for the entire series, Columbus can take it. If he's back in, it's going to be a nice, tight series. Last time I said Korpisalo for my X Factor, he showed up. He will again this series. I don't have a doubt about that. They also have stellar defense. We saw that against Toronto Maple Leafs. But I'm not going to pick a player in those positions. I'm going to actually pick one of my favorite rookies coming out of Columbus, Liam Foudy.
Hey, World Junior guy. I like
I'm
it.
obsessed with this guy.
Tortorella liked the way he was playing in the training camp. He played him all 5 games against the Maple Leafs. He got his first goal in Game 5, averaged a 15:28 of ice time. He looked comfortable. He had the speed, and I think that's an asset against this Lightning team. I think he's going to be a huge difference maker in the series.
Man, Foodie can fly. I'll tell you that. One thing I just want to touch on as you guys were talking, I thought of this. Expect Torts to be firing on all cylinders against his team, and I'm going to expect Columbus to be buzzing today. My X factor is going to be the captain, Nick Foligno. He had 3 points in 5 games, most of them coming in the first 2 games. He's an excellent leader. He's a big-time player for the Jackets, and if you listen to, if you YouTube Mic'd Up during the playoffs, he's always encouraging guys, the decor, the goalie, the younger players. He's always there to lift up the team spirits, and that's huge in this time of year, so I got Foligno.
I got Seth Jones. I kind of touched on this earlier. Had a great series last series. I just need him to step up more offensively. And it's nothing against him. He's just got to help his team out a bit more because his forwards just can't provide that much scoring. Vasilevsky, as we know, Vezina quality goalie. Going to be tough to beat. He needs to step up.
I like it.
All right. Near and dear series in my heart. Unfortunately, I think we're playing the best team in the East. It's Philly versus Montreal.
Yeah.
This is the one team I didn't want to play. I was hoping for any other team. I was cheering for Tampa to beat Philly in that round robin. Philly got the win. So that being said, I got Philly in 6.
Nice.
And it kills me, but I picked against Montreal in the first round. They won. Maybe if I do it again, Montreal will win. I don't know if that's correlation. That's all I'm hoping for. But right now, Philly's just too deep. Voracek is a game-time decision for Game 1, so I think we may have an advantage in Game 1 being a qualifying team, but their team's stacked. I mean, they have Konechny in the second line. Lawton's been going off in round robin.
World Junior captain.
Van Riemsdyk's on the third line now. This guy's a great player. He's playing on the third line. Fourth line has been unstoppable. Defense doesn't make mistakes. They all produce somewhere. Gosh, this Bear's been playing really great. Carter Hart, don't even get me started. This guy is going to be the goalie for Canada down the road.
Yo, for sure.
He's so good at a young age. I think the key for Montreal, if they want to go at the upset, they have to rattle Carter Hart. I don't know how exactly they're going to do it. They got to score maybe quick goals in succession, try and get to his head. Maybe Gallagher can get it in there, get in the blue paint, get him riled up. But I just don't see it happen. It's Philly in 6.
I also have Philly in 6. I'm sorry.
Nice.
Canadians, they were 12th seed, beat a 5th seed Pittsburgh Penguins. The key to that for the Canadians was Carey Price.
Absolutely.
He played stellar, man. He had a 1.67 goals against, a 947 save percentage in the series. He had 133 shots faced against him, only 7 goals allowed. Like, he played very well.
For sure.
They look like a different team than the one that was struggling during the regular season. This series, they had 7 players score at least 1 goal, 2 from Kotkaniemi. But they're going to play a red-hot Flyers team. Flyers defeated the Boston Bruins, the Capitals, Tampa Bay Lightning, all 3 amazing teams, with a combined score of 11-3.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Carter Hart is the story of this team, and that's it. Carter Hart allowed only 2 goals on 59 shots in his 2 starts in the round robin. 4-1 win against the Boston Bruins in his postseason debut. If you want to call it postseason,
I'll count it.
Postseason debut. And then a 4-1 victory against the Lightning. You know, postseason made no difference. He looked calm, composed during the round robin as he did in the regular season. He ranked top 10 in goals against and in save percentage. An interesting fact about this series, though, is both teams failed to score on the man advantage.
Wow.
The Flyers were actually 0-11 and the Habs were 0-12. But the one thing I can say about the series, the one way the Habs can win is if Price continues to excel.
Yes.
We saw him play dominant in the Penguins series, and they won that. If Canadians scored 10 goals against the Penguins, Pittsburgh outshot Montreal 32-13 combined in the first period of the first 2 games. Price played well. If he plays well again, Habs might be able to steal some games. I don't want to say series, but maybe. And Price is a very good goalie. People count him out. They shouldn't. He's very good.
He's been good for years. And I'm going to go Flyers in 5 here. We'll sweep the board again. I hope I'm right this time because every year I pick Pittsburgh, they disappoint me. But as everyone is familiar with the quote, history tends to repeat itself. I'm sure Noah remembers this. 2010 Flyers won in 5
Yep.
games. It's going to repeat itself again, I hope. Season series was 2-1 for Philly, 2 overtime wins. So it was their toss-up games. 2 stats I want to bring up. Moose already touched on Carey Price's save percentage, 947 first in the qualifying rounds, just absolutely disgusting at this point. But a stat that I like for Philly is their face-off percentage at 54.6% first in the NHL. They're just possessing the puck more than you. And they just want it. They want the puck more than you. And I don't think Montreal centermen are as hungry as the Flyers are, especially Sean Couturier. So yeah, I have Flyers in 5. X factor is Travis Konechny. He led the Flyers in points to 61 points in 69 games, leading goal scorer as well. He's a complete 200-foot player, and he's a total pest to play against. He's not at Marchand's level just yet, but he will hit, he'll fight, he'll score. He zips around the ice so fast. I don't think Montreal's defense are good, but they're not fast enough to keep up with him. And Gio, like this, I think he's a better version of Brendan Gallagher. He has more points this year, and Gallagher's career year is 54 points. So I think Konechny might be a better version of Gallagher. So
wow,
there you go.
Interesting. Interesting tidbit. I'm gonna have to go with a Moosehead alumni, Jonathan Drouin.
Nice.
Montreal's best offensive players all need to be better in round 1 if they want to upset this team. Their top 3 goal scorers from the regular season were kind of silent this series. Gallagher, Tatar, Domi, they struggled. But if Drouin wants to be the one who comes through, he's on the line with Kotkaniemi. He scored 2 goals. I think if Drouin steps up, if Kotkaniemi steps up, that second line, they can power through, they can score goals. I think he's going to make a big difference in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Doug, I just want to say, clearly you don't watch the Flyers that much or Montreal if you think Gallagher and Konechny are the same player.
Look at the stats.
I can look at the stats, but they're not the same player. They don't play the same role. Oh, he's a better point getter for sure, but not the same player. That's just a flat out lie.
I take Konechny over Gallagher.
Oh, I would too, but I'm not. But you said they're the same player. They're just not.
We'll see.
Scott Lawton, I'm picking him as my X factor. I already mentioned him. He's up on the second line now. He had 5 points in 3 games. Obviously, if you're playing with Konechny and Hayes, you're going to put up some points. Yeah. But he's really impressed me over the round robin games. I think he's going to help him a lot. And just another thing I want to bring up. Giroux had 0 points in the round robin, and they absolutely destroyed everyone.
What?
Giroux had 0 points. Voracek was injured, and they still did that. So this is a scary team. Also want to mention they were my dark horse team. Yeah.
Oh, and Gio, just to add salt in the wound for you, if Philly wins in any number of games, I will give you my Giroux jersey, and you wear it for the next podcast episode.
It's fine by me. As long as it's not a Jets jersey. They can't make it out first round.
They can't make it out of round 0 here.
All right. Western Conference now. We're going to start with Vancouver and St. Louis.
Ooh.
Moose, how about you start us off?
I just want to say I hate St. Louis. What they did to us last season.
True.
Double overtime, game 7. It still hurts me. But I just want to say it's crazy that, you look at the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. St. Louis was at the top of the West. Boston was at the top of the East. They're both now 4th seeds. Mm-hmm. So maybe the round robin doesn't matter that much to them. I said this again and say it again. There's no elimination factor here. So these guys, who knows how much they were actually trying. They don't want to get injured in that stuff. But and St. Louis just did not look like the team they were in March. They seemed primed for another extended playoff run. They scored 6 times in 3 games, 4 which came on a loss to Vegas. They allowed 38 shots against per game, up from 29.6. They only had 3 players that managed to score, Perron, Porienko, and Troy. I think the Canucks, they were just too much for the Wild in their best-of-5 qualifier series. Young players were stellar, offensive, scoring 12 goals in 4 games. Quinn Hughes, 20-year-old defenseman. Guy led the team in points, 6 points, in fact, 1 goal, 5 assists. Bo Horvath, 25-year-old, scored 4 points. And then Elias Pettersson also had 4 points. I really like this Canucks team. I think Jacob Markstrom is a big factor for this Canucks team as well. He had a postseason debut at 31 years old. This man made his postseason debut. Congrats to him, and it didn't phase him at all. Markstrom put up a .964 save percentage on 5-at-5, was the best of all in the qualifying round netminders. Mm-hmm. He played at least 2 full games. I'm gonna have to pick Canucks here in about 6 games.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's gutty, man.
I agree with you. This is gonna be a tough series. I think it's gonna be close. But there's just some stats I want to bring up. St. Louis's power play was third in the league this year,
Mm-hmm.
and Tarasenko only played 10 games.
Wow.
That is a glaring statistic.
He also got a point per game.
Yeah, he also in those 10 games he played, he had 10 points.
Yeah.
Now he's healthy. He's ready to go. I know they didn't have a great round robin. Maybe it takes them a game or two to get into it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they can do it. They're one of the deepest teams in the playoffs. They don't really have any big weaknesses. The left wings aren't that deep, but I think everything else looks really good. Another thing I want to bring up: if you guys listen to Spit and Chicklets, Pat Maroon was on one of the podcasts, and he was talking about Colton Parayko.
Yes.
He said if he could pick one defenseman to start and build a team around, it was Colton Parayko.
Wow.
Now, whether you agree with him or not, that's a lot of respect to give to someone.
Yeah.
He's a young, great-minded, offensive-minded defenseman. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Overall, that's got to show you he's a good player, and he's their second D pairing.
Mm-hmm.
I like Vancouver, but I mean they played the Wild. They were the worst. They were the worst team in the entire playoffs. All right, they were worse than Chicago. They were worse than Montreal. There wasn't a lot going on in Minnesota right now. I kind of feel bad for them.
I don't.
I like Perron, beast. I think he was second on the team in points this year in the regular season.
Yep.
Sick. They have great players that perform in the playoffs. Like, for Pete's sake, O'Reilly's on the second line. The guy was consummate winner last year. He's a nominee for Selke. He does it all. He's on the second line.
Yep.
I got St. Louis in 6.
I like it. Although 2 episodes ago, I was very impressed with how Vancouver beat Minnesota. I still am, but they're hitting a roadblock in St. Louis. I got Blues in 5, man. They're too loaded. As much as I hate them, they beat the Jets. Like they're a sick team, man. Season series, both teams had 1 win, 1 overtime loss. So they tied there. Vancouver goals allowed is 19th in the NHL at 3. St. Louis goals a game is 3. So it's going to come down to if they can score, if Markstrom can make saves. Markstrom had a 2.27 goals against average, which isn't bad, but most of the goals he let in were squeakers. He couldn't close his arm, or he couldn't close his 5-hole.
Exactly.
And okay, those goals got you past Minnesota, but St. Louis is going to wreck you if you keep letting in goals like that. They've won a cup already, so don't give them a reason to come back into a game whether you're up by 3 or 4 goals. We already saw 2-3 league comebacks get blown this year in the playoffs. My X factor for this series is going to be World Junior, not a hero because they lost, but still a great World Junior player, is Braden Shen. He had 58 points this year in 71 games. He had 25 goals, proven goal scorer, won a cup, as we all know. He's a complete player. He can hit, he can fight, he can score. Good 200-foot player. 2 points in 3 games in round robin, which isn't bad. I mean, round robin, like we keep saying, is more or less practice, unless you're Vegas and Philly, 3-0 both teams. 12 points in 26 playoff games last year. So, and he had a icing on the cake goal against Boston in Game 7 last year. So I got Braden Shen. That guy's a psycho. So I got him.
I'm gonna have to go with Brock Bessier on Vancouver for my X factor here. Yeah, and for Game 1 of Vancouver, they got shit out. He only had 1 shot on goal, but then after that, he had 3 points, 2 goals, 1 assist. He had 16 goals in the regular season, and he himself said in an interview that he counts on himself to step up in this next series. You're going to give yourself that confidence boost. It's going to work out. It worked out in the last few games against the Wild. It's going to work out against the Blues. I think he's going to be a big factor here.
Like it.
I got a guy that a lot of people seem to forget about. This guy's, I think, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in the league. It's Jaden Schwartz.
Oh, had he last year.
He had 20 points in 26 playoff games last year. That's what I call some production right there.
Yeah.
Right? I think if you actually look at his previous playoff stats, even before last year, he performs every year.
Yep.
This guy plays hard. He knows what it takes to win. He's my X factor. I think he's going to push him for the win. Get them the win in 6.
I like it.
Up next, Dallas versus Calgary.
Go Stars, go.
I really like this series because I hate the Calgary Flames. Moose, you're going to like this. I got Stars in 6. I will never pick the Flames the rest of my life. So stats that are glaring to me is the Stars' goals per game in the regular season was 2.58 at 26 in the NHL, which isn't going to cut it, whether or not you're in the playoffs or not. Calgary's goals against was 3rd in the qualifying round with Cam Talbot, which, wow, dude, you had a great goals against with Scheifele and Laine injured. I really hope so. I could probably do it. He was 3rd behind Mrazek and Korpisalo. So the main question that comes to me is, can Dallas score goals? Seguin was out. let's hope he comes back, because if he doesn't, my pick will look pretty bad. Ben had a terrible year. Pavelski was half decent. They need to score goals because Cam Talbot's feeling it right now. And if you run to a hot goalie, no matter how bad the other team is, they have a decent shot like in Montreal. Calgary Stars, as much as they did get points, they weren't visible, okay? They got empty net goals. They would score off a turnover in front of the Jets slot. I'll talk about this to the day I die. They were not visible. It was Lucic's line that dominated. And I like Ben and Seguin in this series, and Jimmy Ben might fight Lucic and do better than Beaulieu. So I have Stars in 6.
I disagree with you. I'm gonna go Calgary in 6. Look, this year I'm just not convinced on Dallas. Last year I was Dallas all the way. I actually love Dallas. This year they're really struggling to score. Like really struggling to score. Pavelski, I think his worst year in I don't know how many years.
A long time.
Seguin did not play any of these games, so doesn't have a warm up. He's just going in there, going in cold against a team that already has one series under the belt. I think he's going to struggle, at least for the first couple of games. If he comes back, might be a little too late. And Ben Bishop, I know he's suffering an injury right now. It's undisclosed, so I don't know how bad it is. But if he comes back, is he going to be completely healthy?
He's a piece of glass,
probably not. When he's completely healthy,
I'll say that.
When he's completely healthy, he's one of the best goalies in the league, bar none. But if he's injured and if he's not 100%, I don't know. I just don't see them pulling it off.
I'm gonna keep this short and sweet because I could just go on and on and on about this series. I just want to first offly say the Flames are just lucky to be here. You know, they had to go against an injured Jets team where they dropped a game, by the way, against an injured Jets team.
Which is embarrassing.
Because if the Jets were healthy, they would have trashed the Flames. But no biggie here. Stars are here. We'll just trash them in this round.
Do our dirty work.
Flames have no business here. Stars in 6. Yeah, I've seen Dallas play. I know how we played in the round robin. We were not that good. But our first and second period against the Knights, we were an absolutely amazing team. If we play like that the whole time, I mean it, no one can beat us. We were one of the best, toughest defensive teams in the regular season. We were second in goals, like total goals allowed in the league. We have defensemen like Heiskanen, Lindell, Klimberg, an amazing defensive core that can hold the Flames forwards back when needed. Now, the trouble here, as everyone mentioned, is offense. Is offense. We don't score enough goals. We need the goals to be scored. But if our defense is anything less than stellar and our offense cannot keep up and score the goals, it doesn't look good. But we do have elite forwards. You know, Seguin, Ben, Pavelski, Radulov, Rope Hintz, rookie Dennis Gurianov. These guys can be unstoppable when they set their mind to it. And I think now that playoffs have started, it's not just a round robin. You know, there was no – I've said it again. I'm going to say it again. Threat of elimination. I think we're in the mindset now that playoffs have started. We got this. We have the ability and the heart to win this series, and we will. Not to mention Ben Bishop, as we all did. He was unfit to play for the Stars. We don't know the measure of his injury. I don't think it's going to be that bad. If he's back, he's an elite goalie in the playoffs, and he can steal the series. I really think so. His playoff numbers prove it. And if he can't, we have Anton Khudobin. He was an amazing goalie this year. First in save percentage, second in goals against. If we can bring the intensity we showed against the win against St. Louis and the loss against the Knights, I think it's a definite win here. But the thing is it's gonna be an ugly series. I see a lot of penalties in this series. I think Tkachuk, that line is just gonna pound us. Sagan's injured. They're probably gonna go after him a little bit. We got to stay disciplined. We got to have a good PK. Last year, Rope Hintz, he stormed through the playoffs. He led the team in goals. But this year, we have a new guy, Dennis Gurianov. Nice. He led our team in goals this year, and that's why he's my X factor here. You know, you can't forget that he led the Stars in goals. He's tied with Buffalo Sabres forward Victor Olofsson. He's second in NHL rookie goal scorer. I think he's going to make a big difference here. Remember, guys, if our offense gets going, we are unstoppable. That's all I'm going to say.
That's the biggest question. So my X factor is going to be another Dallas Stars player. They call him the Worm. I'm going to go with Corey Perry. He only had 5 goals this year. Just to reiterate the fact that they can't score, a former 50-goal scorer Hart Trophy guy had 5 goals. Like, that's just not going to cut it whether you're first, second, third, or fourth line. At least get 10, bud. Come on.
First year on the team. He's adjusting.
He's a Hart Trophy winner. He should be better than that. He has 90 career playoff points, and he's won a cup with Anaheim. And he won a cup. I mean, yeah, it was like many moons ago. Feels like forever ago. But the team that he was on, they had a bunch of tough guys, rough and tough guys that know how to win the right way and taught him how to win the right way. He's been playing as a winner for years. He hasn't won the hardware of a cup, but he's won everything else besides that. He knows what it takes, and he's just terrible to play against. He'll slash you, cross-check you. Who knows? He might even fight. I don't know. And I really hope Ben beats the piss out of Matthew Tkachuk because that'd be great. So Corey Perry's my X factor.
Like all of us have said it, the big question is, can Dallas get their offense going? If they can, I don't think it's much of a challenge, but I just don't see it happening. My X factor is going to be Pavelski. The guy had 31 points in 67 games. Bad year for him.
Yeah.
He needs to pick it up. I was also debating on Ben. Really bad year. If they can all pick it up, I can see Dallas win this for sure. Will it happen? I'm not sure.
It definitely will.
Next is Colorado versus Arizona. I just want to get started by saying out of the top 10 teams for goals against are all in the playoffs right now. That's a huge indicator. In this series, especially, Colorado, 6th in goals against, Arizona, 3rd in goals against. The only advantage I see for Zona is goalie. Obviously, we all know Kemper, beast. Absolute monster. Grubauer, I'm not completely sold. Had a great year. So did Fantus. I haven't really seen them being proven in the playoffs. Kemper, not as much either, but he's proven it this entire year. He proved it last round. He is a beast. Colorado, missing, who was it, Rantanen, Landeskog. I think they had a few other injuries as well, but they were missing for almost half the season combined. That is a huge loss, and yet they were still 4th in goals for. That's crazy. I just cannot see Arizona overcoming this. Their defense isn't as good. Offensively, not even close to being. I mean, you have McKinnon, the Halifax hero.
Halifax?
So I was debating a sweep. I'm picking Colorado in 5.
You know what? I am sticking with my underdog story. The Cinderella story lives on with Arizona. I got Yotes in 7, boys.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, I don't like Central Division teams to begin with, and I like Arizona's game. Rick Tocchet's got that team figured out there. The season series was Arizona won the season series actually with 1 win, 1 loss. 1 win, no losses, and an overtime loss. Arizona's goals allowed is tied for 3rd, as we know, 2.61, as Gio talked about Kemper. The Avs goals, as he also mentioned, was 4th in the NHL at 3.37. It's going to come down to Kemper. He had a .933 save percentage against the Preds, and I don't know if you guys watched, but the Preds dominated the Coyotes all over the ice. First period shots were about 20-4, 16-5. Like, it was not close. If Kemper wasn't in net, they would have got swept in 3 games, if not 2, because it wouldn't have been close either way.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I mean, Yotes in 7, if Kemper can stay hot, why not?
I think this is going to be a good series. Colorado, probably one of the best offensive cores in the league, up against an unexperienced 50-point or less Yotes team. But the main factor here, as everyone said, is Darcy Kemper. Kemper's a big reason the Coyotes advanced to the first round. At even strength, he had a .950 save percentage against the Predators. In Game 4, he made 49 saves in their victory. But I've said this. I said Colorado's going to win it all in my previous podcast, and I still think this again. I think Colorado's going to win it here in 6 games. They have Nathan McKinnon, a finalist for the Hart Trophy, Halifax native. He finished 5th in the league with 93 points. He had 43 more points than Cale Makar. They were still 2nd in the league, in the West, sorry. And not to mention, I'll say it again, this was without Landeskog and Rantanen. These guys are back.
Not sold.
I won't count out the Arizona's offense either. I know they scored against the Preds. They have Hall, they have Kessel. But when you compare the 2 offenses, Colorado's is just vastly better. You know, Arizona had more shots on net throughout the playoffs so far. They got lucky that Trashville was unable to score on them with those amount of shots.
Yep.
But with the likes of Colorado's offense being 10th in goals in the postseason and 4th in the regular season, you're going to put those many shots on a goalie, it's bound that a couple are going to get through. They got to straighten up their defense if they want to win. Also, the goalie situation in Colorado is it's struggling, but they still have good goalies. They have Grubauer and Francois. They're both viable options to start, especially in back-to-back games. Grubauer is probably expected to start in Game 1, I would expect, based on seniority, and he did have a good postseason last year in 2019. He went 1-0-1. He made 53 out of 58 shots. I think he's going to be okay in that. For me, the X factor is going to be Cale Makar. He's a finalist for the Calder Trophy, finished 2nd among rookies in points. He's on the first defense pair with Ryan Graves, number 1 power play, If he gets on fire, if he starts scoring, get those assists, get some good passes in, it's over. I'm sorry.
Moose, I want to give you one hot take first because I know you're going to like this a lot from the Halifax native. I don't even think McKinnon will be a point per game in the series.
Ooh.
That's the hottest take I'm going to have for you.
Ooh.
My X factor is going to remain the same. Derek Stepan, a veteran, 3 points in 4 games in the third line. He set up Garland on a beauty game winner. I mean, Garland did the toe drag and he sniped it, but Stepan made the pass. He drew 2 defenders and made the right play. As I've said this before, he's a veteran playoff guy, and he really motors that team with his veteran experience. So, Stepan.
I got a guy who's injured right now. It's Nick Schmaltz. Like, he led the team in points. By no means is he an incredible offensive threat.
Right.
They didn't even play the whole first round. I think he actually might be missing game 1. But they're going to need more scoring against Colorado than they did in the first round against a struggling Saros. So hopefully he can come back. If they're going to have any chance of winning, he needs to come back and he needs to produce for them.
Absolutely.
All right, in our last series, Vegas versus Chicago. And I think this is the most one-sided. I think this is the safest pick, or in my opinion.
Yep.
Moose, how about you guys going?
I got Vegas here winning in 5 games.
Yep.
Vegas, they finished first in the Pacific during the regular season. They earned the top seed in the West by winning all 3 of their games in the round robin. Them and Philly were undefeated in the round robin. They outscored their opponents 15-10. So they have scoring capability. We all know that. The Hawks, on the other chance, they have experience. But they haven't been to a Stanley Cup playoff since 2017. But they have a veteran core of Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, Duncan Keith. Toews led them with 7 points. Kane scored 4 points. He also had an average time of 22 minutes. And Keith had 4 assists. Vegas, they're making their 3rd trip here in the last 3 years that they've been a team. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year.
Shouldn't have.
Crazy. Scoring isn't an issue for this team. They had 7 players had at least 3 points in the round robin, with Mark Stone being his usual dominant self with a team-high 5 points. He was second on Vegas with 63 points in 65 games, led them with 5 points in the round robin. The forwards had 30 points in 37. Mark Stone, the forward, has 30 points in 37 NHL postseason games, which include 17 in the last 10 games with Vegas. The way the Hawks, I can see maybe steal a few games here. I don't think they're going to win the series, but they can steal a few games if Crawford continues to improve. He was okay against the Oilers. He wasn't stellar. He was okay. He's been a strong playoff goalie though in his NHL career. He's 51 and 38 with a 2.35 goals against and a 9.17 save percentage in his 91 games. It'll also help if the Blackhawks keep getting that depth scoring that they had against the Oilers. If that keeps them going, they can probably get a few games. Yeah.
I have Vegas in 6 games. I'm still sour about the 2018 Western Conference Final when Marc-Andre Fleury stood on his head, and Vegas went to the final. But I still have Vegas in 6. I mean, I like Chicago's experience of Keith, maybe Seabrook, but he's not playing. I still love Seabrook. Keith, Seabrook, Toews, Kane. Those guys are proven winners, and they're sick. I'd love to see them win a cup, but Vegas is just too overpowering, man. They went 3-0 in the round robin. They dominated the regular season. Pete DeBoer is a great coach. I mean, the season series was 2-1 for Vegas. They won one overtime game. A glaring stat that will possibly, depending on how bad Smith and Koskinen actually played, is the Hawks' goals per game. 4.75 in the qualifier. They're second in the whole qualifying round, next to obviously Edmonton because Connor McDavid. But, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Vegas's penalty kill is 27th in the NHL at 76.6%. Mm-hmm. And Chicago dominated on the power play. So they need to stay disciplined because they have guys I've never even heard of. Highmore, Kirby Dach playing well. I mean, Chicago had their depth. Let's see if it can help them move on here. But yeah, like I said, Vegas in 6, it's going to be overpowering for them.
Yeah, I got Vegas in 5. I'll give Chicago one win. Vegas's roster is a Stanley Cup potentially winning roster. Like, their team is just stacked. The biggest question for me is goalie. I think Leonard's supposed to start right now. Fleury did not have a great round robin, did not play well. So I think Leonard's moving in. But I mean, Leonard by no means is a slouch of a goalie. A lot better than Corey Crawford, I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely.
Chicago is not playing a poor defense, poor goalie like they did last series. I mean, like, almost any of these teams could have lit up Edmonton. No offense to Edmonton.
Sorry, McDavid.
But let's be real, this series will not be close. Maybe if Crawford pulls out one good game, maybe Kubalik goes off like he did in game one of the first round. But I just don't see it. Doug, like you said, the PK is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Struggled. Can they fix that? Another thing is, will Pacioretty be back? He's injured right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can easily win without him. But if they have him, it could just tilt the scale that much more.
Definite boost, yeah,
Totally
for sure.
change it. My X factor is Shea Theodore.
Oh, I like him.
Best defender on their team. Up and coming defender. I think this guy could win Norris one day. I think if he produced like he did in the round robin, I think they have a good chance of maybe even finishing this in 4.
Wow, get the brooms out. An actual
Sure.
sweep, not in 3 games, on 4. I like it. My X factor is a former Winnipeg Jets. I got to take him, is Paul Stastny. He had a very poor regular season with 38 points in 71 games. But he is a proven playoff guy. He had 15 points in 17 games for the Jets in 2018. I know it was 2 years ago, but it was still impressive. He was a point per game last year with Vegas, and his line with Stone and Pacioretty are just all over the ice. He might be the next Mr. Game 7 after Justin Williams. He's got second most points in career Game 7s. So look out for him there. He went pointless in round robin, which is obviously concerning, but Stastny turns it on when the game matters most. So I got Stastny.
I said the Blackhawks need depth scoring, and I believe they can do it with this Halifax, Nova Scotia native, Matthew Highmore. Dougie mentioned him. I'm going to mention him again. This guy's pretty good. In his first NHL postseason, he has 3 points, 2 goals, 1 assist. This was in 4 games. He's 4th among rookies this postseason, by the way. He plays left wing on the 4th line with center David Kampf and right wing Carpenter. He's been a solid net front presence.
Okay.
Scored each of his goals with a deflection. I think if they wanted depth scoring, this is the guy who can do it.
Let's hope he can tip well.
He's my X factor here. I just want to thank everyone for listening to the Cleats, Skates, and Hoops podcast. We've been Dougie, Gio, and Moose. Sending us off today is Fallen Leaves by Billy Talent. Next week, we're going to be talking about NBA predictions, how the playoffs are going, as well as, more sports news worldwide. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We're everywhere, people.
See ya.